Welcome back to Cloudy Chip and Mad Gamers co-op channel. And today we're going to be talking about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League story. A lot of spoilers. We're not holding back. It's going to get a little crazy. Me and Cloudy been talking about it privately. Ain't that right, Cloudy?
Yeah, man. What's
I'm
going on,
excited.
bro?
I'm so excited because Cloudy got some hot takes, some really interesting stuff, and we're going to break it all down right now. First and foremost, thank you for tuning in. Cloudy Chip has his own Let's Play channel. I have mine as well, and I have a how-to guide channel that's been doing pretty hot right now, so I'm pretty proud of that. But we wanted to come together for Suicide Squad because it's a big deal for our content. And you're watching some story spoilers, of course, and we're going to continue from this point on about the story. We're going to watch Wonder Woman getting into a big fight with Superman, which we'll get into a little later. It's a teaser, and see what happens with some of that as far as story goes. But Cloudy had an extremely hot take about Batman, which I want to focus on and probably just make this whole video about that one topic, and we're going to get into it. So Cloudy, if you could just unload from the beginning to end as far as your story breakdown of Batman in this game and what your context is with everything you played and your impressions.
So I was just a little disappointed because I felt like they should have done a little more with the boss battle as far as Batman's concerned. I love the Batman experience and what they did, and I was expecting a little bit more of that, and they kind of gave us a little bit of that towards the second half when we ended up actually facing off. But as far as him, us being, prone by the toxins, right? Scarecrow toxins and fighting this demon like Batman, right? I didn't feel like it was the boss battle I would have wanted. I felt like they could have took it a bit further and say we fought off Batman within our because everybody's kind of afraid of Batman, right? And then kind of give us an actual fight later on, and and Batman teasing us like, oh, I can't believe you got through this, and kind of giving us a third battle, like facing off on him, and they didn't do that, right? So I was a little disappointed with that. I wish they could have done a little bit more with that. So that's my take as far as like the Batman experience, right? I felt like they had him involved a lot as far as Codex is concerned. So like he'll be talking throughout the gameplay a ton. So that was always cool, but I just felt like they could have done more with as far as him being a boss battle. To me, I feel like that was probably the worst boss battle in the whole game. And fine, we faced off with Flash, we faced off with Superman, we faced off with Green Lantern. Like, we had really good boss fights, and with that one being probably the weakest, I was a little disappointed, especially when most of a lot of the little lores and stuff that are in like talked about within the game, a lot of it revolve Batman lore, right? So I just wish they could have done more.
Got you. And now, so just to touch on a couple of things with the conversation about the boss fight, I, on the other hand, actually really love the psychological aspect of right when we're getting in, and we're watching the footage right now of when they get into his base and they're hearing him say a beautiful speech, important one, a lot of context in there. I wish I could hear the whole thing. And then you go through the psychological nightmare-ish Batman where you're running around trying to deactivate the gas and do this and that, and each character has their own fears and has their own worries and their own things, and you kind of go through the emotions and struggle, which I thought was a great psychological battle. And Batman's always been a psychological guy, right? He hides in the shadow, he kind of makes you fear him, and there's a specialness to that. So in this, and to me, they highlighted that before the physical fight, but we don't want to stay too long on that. We can have a gameplay breakdown later on. Cloudy, I want you to get into something you were talking about that I thought was extremely intense. And right before this recording, Cloudy was saying that he felt like Batman dying was exactly what he wanted. And if you can explain yourself to the internet right now, boy.
Yeah, so
how could you?
Yeah, so my whole thing with that is like, it's like I don't understand how people would be upset with the fact that Batman died, right? Because if people understand anything, especially when it comes to Batman, like his whole mission, like he wanted out of the life that he was living. You know, he's not like Spider-Man. That Spider-Man lives in a world where he's just trying to be just a regular human being and get a job and live his life, right? He actually was a billionaire. He had it all. He had women. He had cars. He had anything he wanted. He can buy. He was a billionaire. He was known. So it's like he didn't want anything more than just to like not be in the life anymore. He wanted out, and in order for him to be out, he's wished death up like multiple times. That throughout the like Batman comics or anything else, if you look into it, he's wished death upon himself multiple times. He's wanted out, and he's come to a realization that in order for him to get out of that lifestyle was to actually be dead. They actually even if you look at the movies, like the trilogy with Christian Bale, the trilogy, even in the movie, the butler's like, oh, the only way like you're gonna get out of this is if you get yourself killed. And they hinted that multiple times, and that's why even in the movies he had to fake his death at the end to be able to kind of live a normal life. But in the actual series, they didn't go that route. They went with the route of actually killing him. And you know, I don't understand how people can be mad about that when that's what he wanted the whole time. It's like, damn, like, yo, get over yourself already and realize the actual meaning behind like what Batman really wanted, and then understand like the direction that they went. And I actually like the fact that they went a different direction, because typically Batman's always this guy that doesn't kill nobody, and he's like always in the shadows and always mysterious and all this stuff, right? And he's always trying to be the good guy in everything, in every situation. And typically Superman's always the one being depicted as someone who's being controlled, or someone who's like no longer being good anymore, right? And you've seen it in the movies, and the Justice League movie, they show him being bad and had to put him away and stuff like that. And Batman's always try to hold his innocence as far as being the good guy. But in here, they took a different approach and actually made him bad. And they did a really good job in like depicting that whole thing of him being a villain. And I thought he was a badass. If anything, I thought he was even a better villain than Superman's been portrayed to be, right? And that's my take. I think they did a good job in portraying him being a villain. I thought they could have expanded on that a little more, but you know, at the end of the day, I think it all in all was done well. And like I said, I'm not mad at the fact that he died. I am a little disappointed that they couldn't show a little bit more fight with him, right? So like Superman, and throughout this game, they showed him, fighting. So he fought with Wonder Woman. He was fighting all the time, right? And they showed like a more, he looked more like harder to take down. And I don't feel like they shown enough of that with Batman. And I felt like they could have done more with that. And as far as him dying, the way he died is the only thing I probably have a problem with. Like, kind of down and out. He's playing, basically towards the end, he's almost like a puppet. They bring him to a lab, they take him out, they bring him, and he has no fight. He's like literally dead limbs the whole time. It's like you have literally no fight in you. And that was the only thing. And Batman always got something up his sleeve, but it's like,
yeah,
I don't know if that was done purposely. And and why I say that is because I don't know if they depicted him to be a puppet and be the way he is, and that's why he's like, oh, just get it over with. Was because maybe that's kind of what he wanted, and that's probably why he didn't have any more fight in him, because that's kind of like he was like, yo, like I'm finally getting what I wanted, right? And kind of being freeing himself from the world, whether him being a villain, freeing himself from that Brainiac's mental, right, restraint, or kind of being free as well from like kind of giving up and just wanting to be free from the act of being Batman, right? He did, kind of not wanting to do that anymore. And
got you.
And that's kind of the reason why he always took the time to build a squad, right? Like Nightwing and Robin and all these people that he's put over, all these pieces of heroes that he put around them, even creating the Justice League, right? To kind of trying to take that responsibility away from him so he could kind of live a normal life. But even then, he knew that at the end of the day, the only way out of it was for him to be in the position that he's in his game and kind of be killed, right? And I'm not mad at it, bro.
All right, we get it. All right, so my thing is, you know, whether you agree to disagree, everybody watching and listening, I have a deeper breakdown on Batman that I'll save for my channel officially, but I can say I agree with a lot of what Cloudy's saying as far as Batman is a savage. He didn't care about his money. He didn't care about being a millionaire. You know, most of us will make that much money and we'll be in an island somewhere doing some relaxation, right? And people kind of just lose themselves with their finances. And with Batman, he did the opposite. You know, he became a greater human, and that's something I strive to be. And it's difficult because the world wants you to chase money or live the life that they kind of designed society to kind of stay within. And for him, he just was this psychopath willing to die, just like Cloudy was saying. So it is interesting in this game, he does die. And, you know, there's a whole conversation about the real life actor dying. And I think it's disrespectful for anybody to say that this death in the game was bad and that the person was alive when they made this game. He volunteered, aka signed a contract to do the job and to be the Batman. And he's been one of the greatest Batmans that we've ever known. So I personally appreciate this performance, regardless if you love it or not. And I'm going to use The Last of Us Part 2, Joel getting killed early on in that game. A very powerful moment that I just couldn't come to grasp with right away. And in this game, when Batman dies, I felt the same exact type of feeling. No. And that's exactly how I felt. And it was powerful, expected because it's called Kill the Justice League, but it still wasn't something I wanted to accept. And it was greatly designed as a powerful piece of art for me. And I can appreciate that. Secondly, you know, I think that in the end of the day, you know, Batman and this game, there's a lot left in the open of what is the possibilities. Okay. So as the new seasons come and new episodes of story unlock and new things start coming down the road, there should be more to discuss about Batman possibly. Okay. So that's all I got to say about that. And we'll talk about it more when the time comes. This is the first episode of many episodes, and me and Cloudy dive into some of these parts of the story. I have a whole series that I'm working on, and now it looks like me and Cloudy are going to get started with one as well, because he had some thoughts about Superman and Wonder Woman, and then as well gameplay conversations that we can have. So go ahead and watch the next video as it pops up. We appreciate y'all. Peace.